In this video, we are going to talk about Tau or Bittensor, some of its recent price action, as well as the crucial support and resistance areas, and where we can expect Tau's price to go in the coming days and weeks. So we'll start by looking at the weekly chart, and what we can see right here is that we have recovered all the way back up into this crucial range that we have talked about in the last video about Tau. Tau has been ranging from about 290 all the way up to about 470 in the last few months. And in the last couple of weeks, it was looking like Tau's price might be breaking down below this range. Tau's price went all the way down to about 260, and it was looking really bad, especially with Bitcoin's price also dumping by an insane amount, going all the way down to about 80k. But then, following Bitcoin's reversal all the way up to about 92k at the moment, Tau's price also followed it, and we got a reversal all the way up to over 300. And now after the recovery, we are very clearly back into this range, which is a much better sign than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. A breakdown below this range and a weekly candle closing below it would likely mean that Tau's price will continue to dump a lot more, but now that we have recovered back above it, this is looking significantly better. This makes the possibility of Tau getting a rally all the way back up into the upper part of this range to over 400 and even over 450 much more likely. But what we can see here is that despite Bitcoin getting a very sharp recovery from about 80k to 92k, Tau's recovery has not been that sharp. Obviously, in terms of percentages, it has been pretty decent. The recovery from the bottom to now is about 20%, but we have to consider the fact that Tau is a very small market cap coin. It is much smaller than Bitcoin and coins like Ethereum, and its volatility is much more significant. As you can see here on the weekly chart, this recovery is not looking that significant on the chart, but the recovery by Bitcoin is actually looking a lot more significant. Obviously, Bitcoin is much larger in market cap and its volatility is a lot smaller, so a rally of 15% for Bitcoin is a lot more important than a rally of 20% for Tau. And for a rally by Tau to be really impressive, it would need to be a lot larger. And now I do still think that it is completely possible for Tau to continue rallying and getting a much more impressive rally, rallying 50% from here, even potentially more. But I also think that for that to happen, what would make it a lot more likely is if we see a more significant move by Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market for a small market cap coin like Tau to really start doing well and outperforming the rest of the crypto market. On the long term, what we would need to see is a period of euphoria by the entire crypto market, which we are absolutely not at the moment. What would likely cause that to happen is if we see Bitcoin's recovery sustaining itself, and if Bitcoin can start approaching new all-time highs, as well as Ethereum following it and approaching new all-time highs, potentially crossing over 5k. In my opinion, once Ethereum starts sustainably crossing 5k, that's when altcoins will start really going parabolic. But at the moment, we're still very far away from it. Ethereum is only slightly above 3k right now, but still Tau's structure on the weekly chart is looking decent. We are continuing to hold this support area at around 290. We are slightly above it right now, and I think that the option of a rally all the way up to over 400 and back up into this upper part of the range is getting significantly more likely as the crypto market is recovering. And I think that if Bitcoin continues its recovery and gets above 100k, then Tau has a significant chance of also getting its rally. But I would still be careful. I think that most small altcoins will continue to underperform Bitcoin as well as the larger altcoins, because as I always say, Bitcoin is the king of the crypto market and it leads the bull market. We first need to see Bitcoin doing well, followed by Ethereum and then the larger altcoins, and only then we can start seeing smaller altcoins like Tau really outperforming on a longer time frame. And right now we are still in a risky area. As I said, the chances of us being completely back into the range and getting a rally for Tau from here is a lot higher now than it was even a week ago, but it's still not really confirmed. I would want to see Tau's price closing the weekly candle a bit higher, maybe at around 320, to really be comfortably in this range. And if we start actually seeing weekly closes below this range, then this would be a very concerning sign. And now let's go ahead and look at the hourly chart for Tau to see a more short time frame outlook. And what I can see here is that at least in the last week or so, The structure is looking really nice, very clear, higher highs as well as higher lows, but we do have a pretty significant resistance area at around $330 that we will have to attempt to break above. Right now, it's looking like the momentum to the upside might be slowing down a little bit, but it's not very significant. If we do break below this previous low at around 296, if we get below that, then this will likely mean that at least in the short term, the rally is cooling off and that we will see a bit of a correction. But if we can actually break above this previous high at around 320, then it will be very likely that we will just continue up to this next resistance area at around 330. This is the most significant resistance area at the moment that Tau will need to attempt to break above. And if it can break above it, then this will likely mean that we will continue the rally even much higher than that and potentially all the way back into the upper part of the range that I have talked about on the weekly chart to over 400 and 450. But of course, this is still very far away and not guaranteed whatsoever. Tau is a very volatile small market cap coin, so it's really unpredictable. But I think that if we can significantly cross 330, it will be a very good sign that we are heading significantly higher. But if we actually start declining from here, getting a correction and breaking below 265, then this will be the complete opposite and we will likely head much lower. So these are the significant support and resistance areas for Tau's price right now, in my opinion. And in general, as I said, I think that most altcoins, especially the smaller ones, will likely underperform Bitcoin and Ethereum in the coming weeks, at least until the end of 2025 most likely. And for them to really start outperforming, we will need to see a much more significant period of euphoria. Of course, there will be some exceptions, and Tau does have a potential of being one of those exceptions because the structure for Tau's price is really looking very decent, but I would not bet on it personally. Of course, this isn't financial advice, but I think that most altcoins will likely underperform Bitcoin and Ethereum, at least for the time being. That's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it and you want more updates about Tau as well as other altcoins and Bitcoin and the entire crypto market, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one.